One night in early 1963, in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, the steamer the Scotia was travelling from Liverpool to New York when it saw the light from another vessel. The light was white and was low down to the water. From this, the Scotia concluded that the other vessel was also a steamship, as they were the only ones allowed to carry white lights, and that it was a long way away. In fact, however, the other vessel, the Berkshire, was a sailing vessel bound from New Orleans to Havre in France. As a sailing vessel, it should not have been showing a white light at all, but should only have been showing coloured lights. That would have put the steamer under an obligation to stay out of the sailing vessel's way, because steamers aren't dependent on the wind. Even worse, the Berkshire had its light low down on the bow, which made it look further away. The two ships came closer, almost on a collision course, and then the Berkshire turned across the bow of the Scotia. The Scotia tried everything, changing course, putting its engines into reverse, but it was too late, and they collided. The Berkshire sank with all its cargo. Legal action followed, and there was a question about which law applied out there in the middle of the ocean. The US Supreme Court found that certain British laws had been recognised and adopted by Austria, the Argentine Republic, Belgium, Brazil, Bremen, Chile, Denmark, Ecuador, France, Great Britain, Greece, Hamburg, Hanover, Hawaii, Haiti, Italy, Luxembourg, Mecklenburg-Schwerin, Morocco, Netherlands, Norway, Oldenburg, Peru, Portugal, Prussia, the Roman states, Russia, Schleswig, Spain, Sweden, Turkey, United States and Uruguay. Almost every commercial nation in existence. As a result, the court said, undoubtedly no single nation can change the law of the sea. That law is of universal obligation, and no statute of one or two nations can create obligations for the world. Like all the laws of nations, it rests upon the common consent of civilized communities. It is of force not because it was prescribed by any superior power, but because it has been generally accepted as a rule of conduct. This case provides an early example of a superior court identifying and applying customary international laws which emerge from the common practice and understanding of the nations of the world.